5-Minute Pearls for Clinical Practice. Today is step 3 in how to have optimal patient visits. Today we are discussing Make the Connection. Hello, this is Dr. Brian Morris, and this is 5-Minute Pearls for Clinical Practice, where you will learn the tools to provide exceptional care for your patients. This is the weekly podcast where you will be introduced to time-tested, evidence-based patient care strategies that aren't always taught in schools or training programs, but are nonetheless crucial for success in clinical practice. For this podcast episode, our featured cancer charity is called the Young Survival Coalition. Did you know that more than 13,000 young women are diagnosed with breast cancer in the U.S. every year? 13,000. Young Survival Coalition wants you to know that young women can and do get breast cancer. We learned this going to the oncology office, where Rebecca was by far the youngest person at her oncologist's office, and Young Survival Coalition provides support and information that relate to the experiences Rebecca faced raising our 4 young children while going through treatment. Young Survival Coalition provides free resources, connections, and education because no young woman should face breast cancer alone. If you want to learn more about the programs that Young Survival Coalition offers or wish to donate to support these programs, their website is www.youngsurvival.org. And now on to today's Clinical Pearl. Over the last 2 episodes, we discussed the first 2 steps in having optimal patient visits. Step 1 was to ensure that you are prepared for each visit with the necessary information and the necessary mindset of focus and concentration. Step 2 was to make sure that you have prepared the office environment to make sure that it is conducive for the visit. This week is step 3, and it is about initiating a good connection to the patient. Smile, welcome the patient, say hello, introduce yourself if it is a new patient. If so, let him or her know who you are and what your role is. Make sure that the patient is comfortable with proper legroom and a place to sit. Make sure you and the patient are seated at a comfortable distance where you can hear and see each other, preferably at eye level. Make sure that the room temperature is optimal for the patient's needs. Make sure that you respect the patient's customs in how you address him or her. And then begin with pleasant dialogue that is appropriate to the situation. Perhaps comment on the weather or the local sports team or traffic. Try to avoid the standard "how are you?" Try to find something to say that is less generic and more specific to the patient and the day's circumstances. Make a warm, friendly, sincere connection to the patient as you begin the patient visit. This is step 3. Establish a good, warm connection to the patient. Make sure that you respect their customs, but make sure that you establish a good connection to the patient. Establishing good rapport, letting the patient know that you care and that your focus is on that moment, ready to help them. Let's keep the dialogue going. Let me know what you think of this week's Pearl for Clinical Practice. You can email me at drmorris@5minutemd.com. That's DRMORRIS at 5minutemd.com. You can post your comments and your experiences on the 5-Minute MD Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter at Brian Morris MD, and you can visit us anytime on our website, 5minutemd.com. Let your friends and your colleagues know about the podcast and make sure that you are subscribed on iTunes. When you are subscribed on iTunes, you will receive new podcast pearls as soon as they are posted. And if you have a few minutes and you enjoy what we're doing here on this podcast, please head over to iTunes and leave us a review. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you at the next 5.